Greetings, my name is James Curtis Geis. I've been a history teacher for 20 plus years. I've been writing since 2016. Welcome to Teachers Anonymous. I love my teacher ties and I love my coffee because I'm addicted to caffeine. So, this episode is about my 30-20 experience. There's something called the famous rubber rooms in New York City. So, if the school or your administrator, principal, assistant principal tries to fire you, you have to go through what's called the 30-20 process. So I went through my appeal on the unsatisfactory, and even though they had violated at least 6 different aspects of the contract, the city went ahead and said, yeah, you can have your 30-20 hearings. So I could have gone with the union attorney. They had advised me just admit guilt, pay a $4,000 fine. You'll be suspended for 3 months, and then you keep your job. But it's like when you get charged with a crime and you're innocent. They'll say it's better to do a plea bargain because in this way you avoid going to jail. But now, basically, what you're saying is, I committed a crime, and I had implemented all these suggestions that my boss made, and she would not give me any recognition for having made the changes that she asked. She just wanted me out for whatever reason. She didn't like me, and here's the thing. They could have helped me get a transfer to a different school. Imagine that. And another thing is that if a teacher is failing at teaching, that's on the administrator. The administrator's job is to help teachers teach. So if a teacher fails, that means that the administrator failed. So, so if they have it out for you, you can transfer. And in hindsight, I wish I had seen. I didn't know that this was coming. Had I known it was coming, I would have transferred. They could have just said to me, it would be best if you transferred, and we'll help you transfer. And I would have been fine with that. So I ended up having to go to arbitration, and the contract had changed. So what they used to do is send teachers who were going to the 30-20 arbitration to what were called rubber rooms, and there was one in each borough. And so you could be in there for 2 to 3 years. You had to go there and report and basically read a book or play guitar or whatever. Keep yourself occupied for the school day until the day ended, because there weren't enough arbitrators. And finally the city hired more arbitrators so that you would get to your hearing within 3 to 5 months instead of having to wait years before the arbitration. And then also I think they changed it so that you could stay in the school instead of going to these rubber rooms. So I was in the science AP's office for 3 months before my arbitration took place. So that was from April 19th of 2013 through June 5th. From June 5th through June 27th, my arbitration, we met 5 different times. So half the arbitrators are hired by the union, the other half are hired by the city. So a lot of it has to do with who you get, which arbitrator. My dad was a union rep for the United Auto Workers. He sat in hundreds of arbitrations. He said to me, I've had guys who lied through their teeth and they won their case. He said, I've had guys that were 100% innocent and they lost their case. He said, the arbitrator doesn't know you. They're going to sit there and listen to 2 stories and then they make a decision. And usually it's in management's favor. And so my IP claimed that Mr. Geis did not post his agenda, did not have a word wall or a timeline, did not have a class library, and that his students were not learning. So I had several students who testified in the arbitration And they all said, Mr. Geist used an agenda, had a word wall, he had timelines in his classroom, he had a class library set, and and my region scores were 5% higher than the department. So how they could claim that my students weren't learning was just, it was outrageous. And so the students testified on my behalf, and they throw a lot of mud on the wall to see what sticks. And so by contract, they're not supposed to, they keep a teacher file on you. They're not supposed to have anything in that file beyond 3 years. So I used to go through my file, and if anything was older than 3 years, I got rid of it. So during the arbitration, they were bringing things up that were older than 3 years. I go, excuse me, you can't use that. And they said, oh, this isn't your file, Mr. Geist. This is our auxiliary file. They kept 2 files. That's against the contract. And the arbitrator allowed it. Then you're supposed to have 2 unsatisfactory ratings before they can start a 30-20 process. I only had 1. I don't know how it was allowed to have this 30-20 when I had just been given 1 unsatisfactory rating. Dirty trick. Number 2. What they did was, my second to last rating, they brought in and they said, oh, we made a mistake. We put down satisfactory, but we meant to put down unsatisfactory. And the arbitrator allowed it. The report said satisfactory. The report said satisfactory. So even if they made a mistake, that would be, it should be in my favor because they wrote down satisfactory and the arbitrator allowed it. So, that's why I tell, if you teach in New York City and they're bringing a 30-20 on you, just admit guilt, pay your fine, take your 3-month suspension, and keep your job. Or if you know the 30-20, they're working on it, then ask for a transfer and get out of there. Here's the crazy thing. I used to commute into work with 3 people, and the one person, she worked on the floor above me, and her principal and assistant principal, we were very similar in our thinking and our teaching style and what we taught, and she was loved by the principal and assistant principal upstairs. In other words, if I had taught in the school upstairs, they would have loved me. And I just happened to be with a boss who didn't like me. And, I have a friend, he went to the University of Arizona, smart guy, and he failed his economics class. And I'm like, so he took an economics class in the summer and he got an A. He got the highest score in the class. And I said, Mike, how did that happen? Explain that to me. He said, well, Jim, it comes down to who the professor is. And so that's what it comes down in life to a lot of times is, who is your boss? So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I got along most of my bosses before Mr. Cruz and AP Greenblatt, they liked me. And my bosses after Mr. Cruz and AP Greenblatt liked me. So, yeah, it's that's life. And it was really difficult. I have a lesson here. It's called How Did Charles Darwin Impact the Scientific Revolution? And then the do now, she said to me, quantify your do now. So give 1 to 2 examples of why science is important to humanity. So quantify, I put down 1 to 2, did what she asked. She said to me, I want you to do a review of the lesson. So before every lesson, I did a review of the lesson the day before. She said, do pre-reading questions. I have pre-reading questions. What's the atomic theory? What's the theory of evolution? How does the theory of natural selection work? And so forth. Then I had my questions that I would ask the student from the lesson, and then I gave them notes. Originally, I used to have them copy the notes, and then I was told, no, you need to give them copies of the notes. So I gave them copies of the notes. Then I gave them the classwork, which was book work, and then we would review the work, and then the summary question was re-asking the AIM question. So at the end of the lesson, I said, how did Charles Darwin impact the scientific revolution? So, in other words, this lesson is everything that she asked me to do. And it wasn't until after the hearing, like, I asked people to testify, and teachers weren't going to do it because they put a target on their back. Asked an administrator to testify. She's like, administrators don't testify against administrators. The funny thing is, Greenblatt went after this other assistant principal the next year, tried to get her fired. She goes, "Oh, she yelled at me," and then tried to get her fired. And then actually during COVID, the assistant principal who supported me, she was a big lady, but Greenblatt said to her, "Oh," she said, "I'm surprised you're alive. I was kind of hoping that COVID was going to take you out." That was the mentality of my boss. And so, yeah, that's such a terrible thing to say to someone. And then I didn't find out until afterwards that she asked me to do things she didn't ask other teachers to do. The timeline, the word wall. She used to there were a number of teachers in the department. She would ask them for their lesson, and then she would write up an observation report without observing them. That's malfeasance. She never did that with me. And so, yeah, it was just really a terrible thing. And I lost, and sometimes life is not fair, and I did my grieving work, and I learned a lot of lessons. And I was a pastor for 5 years before I became a teacher. And so, all my needs have always been met. I applied for unemployment. I had to apply for the ACA insurance, and then within 6 months, I ended up getting another job. So that's when I started teaching in Newark. So that's my story, and God bless you and all humans and ETs. All my books are on Amazon, and thank you so much for listening.